Carol climbed out of bed and rushed into the bathroom to brush her teeth, wash her face, and scratch her head. Once she was done, she dressed for school. She grabbed her backpack and rushed down the spiral staircase into the kitchen, where her mother had breakfast prepared for her. She took a seat and said, "Good morning, Mother." Her mother set a plate in front of her, and she replied, "Good morning, Carol. Did you have a good night of sleep?" Carol brightly smiled. "Yes, Mother," she added. She silently said a prayer while she bowed her head. Her mother slightly grinned and bowed her head with her. When she was done eating breakfast, Carol grabbed her backpack and ran out of the house toward her yellow school bus. But every morning before she goes off to school, she walks next door to Mr. Meek, an elderly gentleman about 85 years old. She picks up the morning newspaper for him. She rings his doorbell. Mr. Meek opens the door for Carol and kindly takes his newspaper. "Thank you, Carol," he softly replies. "You are welcome, Mr. Meek. Have a great day," she replies and rushes toward her school bus. Mr. Smiles, the bus driver, opens the door while Carol steps onto the bus. "Good morning, Mr. Smile," she said with a beautiful smile on her face. Mr. Smiles replied back, "Good morning, Carol. Are you ready for another day of school?" "Yes, sir, Mr. Smiles. Thank you very much for asking." "You are welcome, Carol," he replied. Carol stepped off the school bus and rushed inside the school and entered her classroom where Ms. Apples was waiting for all of her students. "Good morning, Ms. Apples," she said with a broad grin on her face. "Good morning, Carol," she replied while taking a seat. Ms. Apples got her students' attention and had a stack of spelling words papers in her hand. She asked, "Who would like to help me pass out the new spelling words for this week's test?" Carol quickly raised her hand. "I would be happy to help you, Ms. Apples." Ms. Apples replied, "Thank you, Carol." Carol answered, "You are welcome, Ms. Apples." Carol helped Ms. Apples pass out the new spelling words for that week's test. Minutes later, the morning bell rang, and she walked into the crowded, narrow hallway. "Excuse me," she shouted loudly, while other children ran past her. "Pardon me, Carol," replied Mr. Polite, the school janitor. "Yes, sir," she replied, and rushed right past him and continued on to her class. At 3:30 p.m., the school bell rang. Carol gathered up her backpack and approached Ms. Kind's desk. "Have a good day, Ms. Kind, and I hope to see you tomorrow." Ms. Kind stopped shuffling through her papers and looked up at Carol through her oval-shaped eyeglasses. "May you also have a great day, Carol, and I will see you tomorrow." Carol laughed and exited her classroom. Carol was headed for her school bus when Ms. Peace, the school librarian, dropped her book. Carol rushed over and politely picked up the book and handed it back to Ms. Peace. "Thank you, Carol. You have such great manners." "You are welcome, Ms. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your day." Carol boarded the school bus, while Mr. Smiles waited patiently for her. "All aboard!" he shouted. Carol giggled. "Thank you, Mr. Smiles," she replied and took her seat next to Tommy. Tommy was a quiet boy, and he did not speak very much. Carol removed some gummy bears she had stored away in her bag and offered Tommy a few. "Would you like to have some of my gummy bears, Tommy?" Tommy quickly nodded his head without speaking a word and answered, "No." Mr. Smiles dropped Carol back off at home. Carol opened the front door and rushed inside. She tossed her backpack onto the spiral staircase and she rushed straight into the kitchen. Ms. Humble, Carol's mother, stared at her while smiling. Then she said, "Now, Carol, you must wash your hands before dinner and store your backpack away. Those are the rules, and I raised you to have manners." "Yes, Mother," she replied and slowly walked back out of the kitchen. She glanced out of the window and saw Ms. Mild, her neighbor, 2 doors down, struggling with a lot of shopping bags. She shouted into the kitchen to her mother. "Mom, Ms. Mild needs some help with her shopping bags. May I go outside and assist her?" Ms. Humble broadly smiled because she was proud of her daughter's mannerisms. "Yes, but hurry back inside because dinner is almost ready." "Yes, Mother," she answered.